Hey everybody, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 17 of the Sweetheart Season series, and we're in the home stretch because Valentine's Day is next Saturday. So we got a little bit more projects coming your way this week that are Valentine's Day related, and then we're going to shift into Easter mode. But for now, we're going to be making a beautiful candle today that was inspired by my husband because this was a special request by him. So I call this my sweetheart candle because I'm making it for my sweetheart. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using these beautiful black candle tins. They're 8 ounces, and I picked them up from Village Craft and Candle, but they don't sell this exact style anymore. Now they have a version that's like matte black inside as well. I haven't picked those ones up yet, but I will eventually because they're beautiful. Anyway, you can pick these up, and I also get my wax there, my fragrance oil, all my stuff from there, really, anything that I can. And I am an affiliate for Village Craft and Candle. So if you want to pick up some stuff from them, you can use code IHC5 when you're checking out for 5% off. And I'll get a small commission at no extra cost to you. So thanks for doing a girl a solid. And let's move on. We're going to get started. The first thing we need to do is talk about what this candle is going to look like. So it's going to be in this beautiful tin, which is an 8-ounce tin. We're going to be using Crackling wood wick candle wicks, and we're going to be adding 1 blue heart on top. So I'm really excited to do this. So let's talk a little bit about our maker math so we can start melting our wax. Hi there, Guadalupe. Welcome. Okay, here's our candle maker math for today. We're going to be making 2 8-ounce candles in these beautiful tins. I'm targeting a 10% fragrance load. And for the main pour for each of the candles, we're going to need a total of 413 grams of container soy wax, which is roughly 206 per tin. And then we're going to be using 46 grams of our fragrance oil, which is Drakkar fragrance oil. And oh my goodness, I just realized I didn't grab the fragrance notes. Oh, I'm not pleased. Anyway, 46 grams of the fragrance oil and 23 grams per tin approximately. And for the heart toppers, we're going to be using roughly 30 grams of the scented wax and a drop of blue candle dye. We are only using 1 heart per candle, so I really don't need a lot of them. But less than 30 grams of wax, it'll solidify way too fast and we won't be able to pour it. So 30 grams is like the least amount we can do. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So let's start by measuring out our wax. We'll move these out of the way. And every time I measure anything in my candle making, I always make sure to cover my scale with some parchment paper and paper towel just to be on the safe side. I often drop fragrance oil on my tabletop, so I highly recommend you have paper towel handy. And also wear rubber gloves. Very important. You do not want to get fragrance oil on your hands. They are not skin safe. They're safe in certain quantities. You'll have to check the IFRA sheets to see how you can use them in bath and body applications. But in terms of directly pouring, you don't want it to touch your hands. So always wear gloves. So we're going to be using a pour pot today and a double boiler method. So let me grab my wax. And a reminder, anytime you're measuring out your anything, you want to make sure that you put your measuring pot in place and then zero out your scale, because it will absolutely impact the weight that you're going to be doing, and it'll mess up your whole thing. So we're going to be targeting 413 grams. Let's see how close I can get. Hey, oh man, I was so close. Oh well. All right, 413. Now, would it really matter that much if it was 414? Probably not. But I'm Mary, and for certain things, I'm very particular. For other things, I don't care. But this is one of those things I am particular about. So let's measure out our fragrance oil as well. We're going to talk a little bit about Drakkar. And I'm going to find the fragrance notes online if I have a second, but it's pretty unlikely. I'm not really that good at multitasking these days. But to me, Drakkar, this is called Drakkar type fragrance oil from Village Craft and Candle. And it actually is like a spoof of a really delicious smelling men's cologne called Drakkar. So if you've ever smelled that cologne, you know that it smells like a really sexy man. And that's the kind of candle we're going to be making today. So let's zero our scale again. And I am targeting 46 grams of fragrance oil. Here we go. I was really aggressive with that. Oh, too much, too much. Okay, we've got 49 grams and we needed 46. So I'm going to use a pipette to grab some out of there. There we go, 46. Oh, no. Come on. There we go. Okay, 46. Beautiful. Now, as you can see, this is a really dark fragrance oil. It is like almost the color of honey. It's a really dark looking fragrance oil. And now, to be fair, that means it will impact the color of your finished product. Your end result candle won't be as bright of a white as it might be if you were doing a soy candle with a fragrance oil that was clear in color. It's not going to matter though. It doesn't impact anything else, but maybe it might darken the wax a tiny, tiny bit. But trust me, you won't even notice it. You would if you had it against side by side against something probably, but it'll be faint. But still, it is something to make note of for future reference. We've now measured our fragrance oil and our wax, so we don't need this anymore until a little bit later. What we're going to do is I'm going to empty this fragrance oil into the melted wax. We're going to give it a stir. We're going to make them all friends. Then we're going to pour 30 grams back into this vessel. And then I'm going to add my color into that. We'll mix it together and we'll pour some hearts. So we need to do a couple things before this wax is done melting. I'll put my scale aside for now, but we are going to need it back in a minute. The first thing I'm going to do is pop these out of the mold so that I can use them when we're ready. And I've got myself a little piece of parchment paper for that. So I pre-made a couple of candles as well as these hearts so that we can complete these candles from start to finish, from measuring the wax and combining the fragrance oil and everything, all the way to melting the tops and putting the toppers on. So we're going to do that all today, but I pre-made some for that purpose. So these are the hearts. I've actually never used this mold before. It's really cool. It's a geometric shaped heart, this row. All of these are different. This is like a chocolate mold from the dollar store. I think I got this from Dollar Tree, actually. I'm not sure, or Dollarama. It doesn't matter. The point is, this is made for chocolate, but it'll work just as well for wax. And for soy wax, just make note when you're using color, you're going to see some frosting. I can't even pick this up. So if you can see in this heart, it's not a completely beautiful solid blue. It is blue all the way throughout, but you can see some frosting all across the top. And that's because soy frosts. And when you add color, it makes the frosting very, very obvious. But not a problem, just a slight aesthetic thing. Nothing to be concerned about. If it bugs you, you might want to do toppers with paraffin wax instead. That could be an option. Usually when I do a topper, I will use a pillar soy wax so that it retains its hard format. But as it turns out, because we're doing hearts and they're really solid shapes, we can use the exact same wax for both things. So it's faster, it's easier, we don't have to stress. All right, so this mold is ready for our pour. We've got these hearts ready for when we need to top the candle. So let me move these off site for a second so that I have enough room to roam. And we're going to get our wick and vessels ready. So I'm going to put these lids aside. I'm going to keep an eye on the wax because it's melting very quickly. These little pellets from American Soy Organic, they really hustle. Like they definitely melt really quickly. And they are designed to be used in microwaves. So if you wanted to make a candle in your microwave, this is a great type of soy wax to use. Today, we're going to be using extra large wood crackling wicks. They're crackling wood wicks. I said that wrong. Crackling wood wicks. And they are extra large because we have a really big distance to cover here. They might be slightly aggressive, the fact that they're an extra large, but I wanted to make sure we get all the way to the vessel wall. You could maybe get away with a large, but that might leave a little bit of hang up around the edges. but we'll see. We're going to use extra large today, and I only need one wick because these are very shallow because they're so wide. And I don't like to leave my wicks super long because I find it hard to cut them after the fact. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use one wick for both of these, but we're going to need some wick clips. If you've never worked with wood wicks before, you need these little metal clips so that they can stay upright. And you're just going to push them between this little tab right here. Push that right in there and it'll stay straight up for you. And we're going to glue these down with a Wick Stickum, which is basically double-sided tape. You could also use a hot glue gun if you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down a bit. I'm actually going to go level to the container. Hey, Chihuahua. Okay. Now, remember, there's also going to be a tab underneath it, so it'll be a little higher than where I'm cutting it right now. That's all that's left from that wick. All right. Now, I'm going to push this into the tab, just like that. Try to get it centered if you can. Try not to fool around too much with your wood wicks because they will crack. It's not the thickest thing in the world. So if you can be close to the right spot, you're good. Now, in addition to the clip, there's going to be the height of this sticker as well. So it is going to stick up a little bit and we will trim it down later, but that is here nor there compared to having those really tall ones. I'm going to just clean off the bottom of this just in case there's any debris because we want to get a good stick on there. Oh, before I do that, let me pause for a second. This is Windex. I didn't have a chance to wash these ahead of time. So when you are in that situation, a little bit of Windex and a paper towel will do you just nicely because all we're really trying to do is make sure there's no dirt and debris sitting around in there. But it also means because I took a minute to do this, we're going to have to wait or else it'll be a little too damp to attach our thing. This is really partying over here. I'm a little nervous. You're getting a little too aggressivo. Every time that happens and I put it down a little bit, then it completely stops boiling. It's like, oh, you think I'm boiling too aggressively? Watch me just play dead now. We'll see. I only put it down a little bit this time. All right. So again, if you don't have Wick Stickums or double-sided tape, you could totally use a little bit of hot glue for this, and that would work just as well. Putting a little dab of hot glue there and then attaching the wick clip to it. So the reason I chose wood wicks is because I love the Crackle. These crackling wood wicks crackle because they have that little strip. Where did I throw that piece? Oh, well, I'll just show it to you from here. They have a little extra strip of wood right down the center, right here. It's about the width of my pinky. And that extra little bit of wood is what gives it that really beautiful crackling sound. It's a good time. It kind of sounds like a fireplace almost. All right, so we have our wicks. Let's put them in. They're dry now. All right, I try for center, but if it's off, oh well. It's not that big of a deal. Don't stress. You just want to make sure you're not right up against the edge of the tin. That's obviously an important thing from a safety perspective. Okay, we're getting lower and lower. I can see that that's melting nicely. So we've got our wicks and tins ready to go. We've measured our fragrance oil. Wax is melting. Let me see if I am capable of actually looking up the fragrance notes for Drakkar because I really, really love this fragrance oil and it smells like a sexy man. I can't say it enough. It really does. And I really enjoy that fragrance, and it's definitely one of the few that I found that really smell like a cologne and have that really great scent throw. So it's a strong scent to begin with. And then I'm using container soy wax, which has this really beautiful ability to throw scent even stronger. And we're at the highest fragrance load that you can do for container soy wax, which is 10%. So again, we're really, we're maximizing here. So fragrance notes for Drakkar type fragrance oil. The top note is lemon, bergamot, and lavender. Mid notes of basil, carnation, and rosemary. And base notes of patchouli, sandalwood, and musk, which makes it sound really fruity, but frankly, it's not. It smells like a beautiful cologne, like just yum, yum, yums. So, guys, we're ready to party here. We're just waiting for this wax to finish up. So let's talk a little bit about this wax while we're waiting for it to finish. This container soy wax is a low melt wax, meaning it's going to melt between 115 degrees and 121 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great. That means that it's going to turn liquid more quickly, and it'll give us a better chance to get that full melt pool as well. So that's something I really liked about it. But something to also be aware of is this particular wax doesn't always finish with a nice smooth top. It can be a little bumpy, and you may need to smooth it out with a heat gun. 182. I want to wait until this gets to about 185 degrees. And if you've been on any of my lives in the past, you will know that the reason for that is because we want the wax molecules to really open up so that they can bond really well with the fragrance oil molecules. And the temperature that is recommended for that is 185 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when the wax is at its optimum to bond with the fragrance oil. So that's what we shoot for. I don't always get there, only because I'm super impatient. But I will say that overall, oh my, I knew this was going to happen. This water is really hopping right now, and it actually put a little splash, a little drop of water in here. And you do not want water in your candle tin. So please be aware, because water and wax are not friends. They are not the besties. All right, let's see. How we doing? 183. But that said 188. So which is it? 184. Okay, I'm going to pretend it's 185. Did you guys see 185? I saw 185. So we're going to say it's 185. Ooh, let me move you. Okay. Potholder, thank you so much. Now, because Mary is very good at hurting herself, I'm going to take this and put it off to the side here so that no one needs to go to the burn unit. Thank you. And you too. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you. All right. We are going to go ahead and pour our fragrance oil into this wax. See, 185. Yippee! That's the perfect temperature. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pour the fragrance oil in. And then we are going to stir this for 3 minutes. It's currently 4:18 p.m. And we're going to stir until 4:21 p.m. Now, it's recommended to always stir fragrance oil into melted wax for 2 to 3 minutes. I always lean into 3 minutes versus 2 minutes because I'm always trying to aim for a really excellent scent throw. Oh my God, does this fragrance oil smell delicious? Oh, seriously, imagine, close your eyes and think of the most attractive, handsome man you've ever met or never met or just could ever imagine. And this is what that guy smells like. For sure. Anyway, I like to always stir my fragrance oil and wax together for the full 3 minutes to help it bond. I also make sure to not put color in until the fragrance oil has already bonded with the wax. These are all little things that combining together with other factors will really help your scent throw when you light your candle, as well as when it's sitting as cold throw, not lit. So there's other factors, of course, things like what wax you're using. Also, the fragrance oil plays a part in how much of a throw it has, of course, the quality of it, as well as just the components of the fragrance oil. Some are much stronger than others. And a cologne scent is generally on the strong side as well. But in addition to that, another factor is your wick. Any wick that you use, it's part of the scientific equation of melted wax, wick, and scent throw. All of those things, the evaporation and all of that, that's all related and they matter. They all matter for your overall scent throw. Is any one thing the thing that you can point at and be like, that's the thing that's not working? Maybe if you continue to perfect a candle, if you make it over and over again. But if you're someone like me who does a couple of different candles here and there just to, you know, enjoy my creativity and make some fun stuff, then you're probably never going to perfect it. But it is something to consider. When you're thinking about your scent throw and it's not coming out great, what are the factors you can look at? What wax are you using? What wicks are you using? Which fragrance oil have you been testing? Can you maybe find a stronger fragrance oil? Also, what's your fragrance load total? Like, is it 8%? Is it 6, 7? All of these things matter. And can your fragrance load impact your wax? Absolutely. Some waxes cannot hold 10% fragrance load. Some waxes can only hold a smaller amount. So if the amount of fragrance oil that you're putting into your equation is higher than what's recommended for your wax, you're going to have a problem because the fragrance oil won't bond as well to the wax. And it often can rise to the top and give you a bit of an oily finish on top. So always make sure that you check what the maximum fragrance load for your wax is. And in this case, I know it is 10% for container soy wax. And we're doing 10%. We're maximizing. All right, guys, it's 4:21. I have managed to ramble for 3 whole minutes. What a surprise. It's time to pour. Now, before we pour, we are going to measure out 40 grams. Was it 40 grams? No, 30 grams of this scented wax. And I'm putting it in this container because it's already dirty. And also, if I wait too long and I need to melt it, I can put this in the microwave because this is heat resistant. So I'm targeting 30 grams here. So let's see if I can actually do that without going over. Oh, why you have to be just under? Yay. Yippee. All right, cool. Oh man, does this smell good? I can't even. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for a second. And we are going to go ahead and pour these. Now, I do want to leave a little bit of real estate on top so that we have the room to put our heart. So I'm going to target like a 1/2 inch from the top. And I'm going to try to pour the hearts a little bit shallow. I don't think I did that actually on the ones we're going to be using today. But the ones we pour right now, I will definitely do that. I want to put these off to the side so that they're not in my way when we do the other stuff. So let's go. Oh, man, does this smell good? So you'll often notice that when I'm pouring candles, I do this. I go back and forth between each so that they can be even with each other. It's not really necessary, but I like them to be the same if possible. Okay, this might be a little too much. I feel like we might be getting a little too high to put the hearts. How much do we have left in here? Oh, quite a bit, actually. I think I've miscalculated. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop. How much is that? Wow, that's quite a lot. It's even more than just pouring it into a mold for me. I could probably make a little mini candle out of that. Okay, so it turns out my maker math, it's no bueno. I made more than I needed. So that's okay. I'm going to put this aside for now because I don't have a spare vessel around me, or else I'd probably just pour it right now. Or, oh, Mary, I have these. I can just pour it in here. Okay, let's start by doing the blue hearts. And then I'm going to pour the rest of that scented wax into my mold here because I can just make them into wax melts. Not a big deal. We pivot, friends. We always pivot around here. I'm very pivotable. Okay, so first let's go ahead and put some blue dye in here. I don't want it to be a crazy bright, like vibrant crazy blue. I'm looking for more like a light blue. So I don't want a full drop is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm going to actually put some on this stir stick. Just like that. And then we're going to give it a stir. Oh boy, that's going to be really blue anyway. Maybe I put a little too much. Oh well, what are you going to do? You know what I could do is I could mix this with the wax that is sitting on the sidelines. That'll lighten up the blue, and then I'll make a whole bunch of hearts. Yeah, you know what? Why don't we do that? Let's do that. Now, while I'm mixing in color, just be aware that you don't need to stir as much as you do with fragrance oil. Fragrance oil, you want to stir for a solid 3 minutes if you have the patience, 2 minutes if you don't. But with color, 30 seconds is sufficient. You just want to make sure that you're getting that color really well incorporated with the wax. But at this point, it's already bonded to the fragrance oil as well. So the extra stirring isn't going to do much for you. As you can see, I am always cleaning as I go. I highly recommend that you do the same. It will save you a ton of cleanup in the end because I'm still going to wash this with soap and water later. But now it doesn't have wax that's going to be stuck in there. Look at this blue. That's cool, eh? So this wax is now cooling down quite a lot. So when I pour and I get towards the end, we're going to end up with some buildup inside the pour pot because the temperature will just be too cool up here and it'll start to solidify a little bit. That's what's called hang up, as well as when you have it on the edges and you don't get a melt pool all the way across, also called hang up. For a candle making term, there you go. A little, every once in a while, I'll throw in something useful inside all of my chit chat. All right, let's pour these hearts. So the ones I wanted for the actual candles were these geometric ones, but they're all cute. So I'm fine to pour all of them. But we'll start with the ones I want first. Oh, I actually said I wanted to make these a little shallow because those are a little high now. So let's go half full. Okay, half full on both. I really struggle with that. I have a really hard time stopping at the halfway point. So again, this is a perfect example of, my maker math was wrong. Oh, well, not a big deal. I have extra wax that I didn't really need. To me, that's not a problem. I'd rather have extra scented wax rather than not having enough. And then my candles are small little stubbies. And this way, I always have a silicone mold handy. But funny enough, I was cleaning my molds. And so I put them away and I forgot to leave one out for myself. But this one will work just as well. And I highly recommend anytime you're making candles that you have some kind of silicone mold or even like a regular clamshell for melts. Just anything that you can then turn them into, that extra wax into melts. There's still some left. Wow, I really overshot this today. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Life's hard. Okay, so we've now melted and scented our wax and poured it into these beautiful 8-ounce candle tins with extra large wood wicks that are going to crackle and sound like a beautiful fireplace. So I'm going to let these cure. Anytime you make soy wax candles, it is highly recommended you let them cure for at least 10 days. Yep, 10. Does that mean if you light them as soon as they are solid that they won't smell good? No, they will. You can light these tomorrow and they'll work. Not a problem, but they won't be as good as they will be by day 10 because by that point, the wax and wicks have really bonded. So your throw is going to be phenomenal at that point. Now, I didn't think to put parchment paper under here again. I did this to myself last time too. Okay, beautiful. So let's go ahead and start preparing the tops of these candles that I made earlier this week. Boom, boom. And these little blue hearts, which we demolded together earlier. Let's bring them back. And we're going to go ahead and complete these candles. And then we're going to light them and enjoy the crackle together. So let me get these gloves off because I hate wearing rubber gloves. For any of you whose full-time 9-to-5 job or whatever hour job is something that requires you to wear gloves all day, you are better than me because I would hate to have to wear gloves all day. Okay, so what we're going to need is a heat gun. FYI, I dropped my heat gun the other day and cracked the nozzle. I think it's still going to be fine, but bear in mind, this is not a best practice. When you have something that's broken, you might want to replace it. And I will eventually. But for now, it still works. I'll just keep an eye on it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay. So these wood wicks are, as you can see, quite high. I still left, and they're not level. I didn't cut them the way I cut these ones, but even still, they're really high. So I do definitely want to cut them down. And there's a reason for that. It's because it will allow the wick to work better. When you're using a cotton wick on your candles, you can always cut it down to about 1/4 inch and then light it. That is recommended. But when you're doing something like this, like a wood wick, it actually needs to be cut down much lower than that. Like I think something like a 16th or an 18th or something crazy, like something really, really short so that it's just barely over the wax. You want a really tiny, tiny runway so that it immediately will start burning. It'll grab that wax and start melting it and doing its job, basically. If you leave too much wood wick, it won't light because it's going to just burn the wood as opposed to grabbing the soy, which is the fuel for the fire. So keep that in mind. We are going to cut these wicks down, but we do need to account for 1 heart, which is not going to be much of anything. When you put toppers on your candles, you do need to think that that wax is going to melt and it's going to add to your melt pool. So you don't want to put so much that it's going to overwhelm your wick because it'll put it out. But in this case, 1 heart is not going to do anything. It's going to be perfectly fine. And I'm actually going to trim the wick down to basically the size I said earlier. Now, I have yet to buy it. I had a viewer recommend buying toenail clippers, like those really big ones that are like thick and made for toenails, to cut the wood wicks, which I think is a brilliant idea, but I haven't actually gone around to doing that yet. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use my wick trimmer and I'm going to cut these like a savage. And I'm probably going to crack them and make a piece fall out and really just destroy them. So I'm going to do that instead. And then next time I'm going to buy the clipper and not do that to my wicks. Oh, oh my God, that went flying across the room. Oh boy. Oh, okay. That came out beautiful. Didn't crack at all. I mean, it was a projectile. Anybody who was sitting here could have lost an eye. But otherwise, and I would say this is maybe a tiny bit high. It could have been a little lower, but remember, heart. So this is great. Let's do the same for this one. Let's see if you can be as strong as your partner was. I also got these wick trimmers from Village, but you can get them on Amazon. Okay, this is much more of a savage as I was looking for. So my wick is not level with itself. It looks like somebody bit into it like a dog. Let me rip that off. But it'll do its job, so it's fine. It's fine. Now, before we light these or melt them and put our hearts on, let's take a second to look at the tops of these candles because as I mentioned to you earlier, container soy wax is not known for its smooth tops. It's actually it's a beginner-friendly wax, but maybe a little bit more of an experienced beginner who's not concerned about having to fix a top if it didn't come out the way you wanted. Now, I will say, after saying that, these tops are beautiful. They're both smooth. There's no cracks. I mean, and it's like butter. Like, so I'm kind of lying. I mean, but that is what container wax is known for. It's literally known for that. But turns out, not here. I use my magic wand, and they are beautiful. So we are going to melt a little bit, but as a general rule, if your wax is bumpy on top and you did need to melt it, melt all of it. Melt it all the way around, edge to edge, the entire top. Let the entire top liquefy, because then it will solidify together as a top layer and hopefully do so smoothly. But if it doesn't, do it again. It's not a big deal. Just keep doing it. It's wax. Wax melts. It's not a big deal. But since we don't actually need to clean these tops or smooth them out because they're in great shape, what we're going to do is a spot heat. So we're just going to hit one spot, the spot where we want to put our heart, and make it get a little bit like glistening because it'll look like it's wet. And then we're going to drop the heart topper right on top of it. And that melted wax is going to act like glue, and it's going to hold on to that beautiful little blue geometric heart that we have waiting. So let's go ahead and do that. How do I want them to be? The wick could be this way, or do I want the wicks to be this way? Or do I want one of each? Let's decide. Vertical or horizontal? What do you guys think? I feel like vertical, it would be further away from the wick, so that's good, but that's where I put it. I could put it up here. Then it's even further away. Maybe on an angle? Maybe straight up and down? Where do we want it? I think I like it like that. Or do we want it on the bottom? Let's do one of each. One on the bottom and one on the top. Like that. What do you think? Cute. Cute, right? Okay, let's scoot you a little more because now you're solidifying nicely. You guys get out of here too. Thank you. All right, we are ready to party. So I'm just going to hit those two spots. Okay, here we go. This is going to be loud, so be prepared. Here we go. Okay, I don't want it to get too melted because I don't want the blue to melt. Ooh. Like that. Smush. Good. And now you on top. Oh man, does this smell good? I bet you we're going to get some excellent scent throw. And I hope so, because I really stacked the deck for that. And what I mean by that is I did the maximum fragrance load that this wax is capable of, as I told you, which is 10%. Mary, focus on what you're doing. Okay. Look how cute. So cute, so cute. Now let's put their hats on. Do I have the lids? Beautiful. What a great gift. I'm sure my husband's going to love these, although not these ones because we're going to burn these ones now. Those ones are for him. But these ones are for us to light and enjoy right now. But let's first make sure that the heart's actually stuck on. So I've given them enough time now. Are you ready? We're going to do the Dairy Queen flip. Here we go. Hey, opa, it worked. Beautiful. Okay, so before we light these, oh no, not before. I am going to light them and then we'll talk about it. So, wood wicks, if possible, you want to light them right where the wick meets the wax. So if you happen to have left it a little bit longer than you should, don't light the top of the wick that's sticking out. Go right where it meets the wax and then light the wick, because you want it to get right to the bottom so it can immediately start grabbing the fuel of the soy wax. All right, I'm going to turn off my heater and hopefully my furnace will turn off in a second. And you can hear the crackle. The wood wick crackle. Okay, so what I was saying is I really tried to stack the deck with this candle. I wanted it to be a really strong scent throw. So I did that by getting this container soy wax, which is known for its excellent hot throw. It also has a maximum fragrance load of 10%, which is quite a lot. And then we're using these extra large wood wicks, which are also quite large. So they're going to give us a really good melt pool. And they're going to be able to really use that fuel from the soy wax efficiently. And then on top of that, we maximized our fragrance load at 10%. And the last component of this is the fact that Drakkar fragrance oil on its own is a strong fragrance oil. So all of those combined should lead to having a really strong scent throat from this candle, which is what you really want when you have a cologne scented candle. So I know you can't really see because of the glare and it's really hard to see, but I hope you can hear it. You know what? Let's see if I can turn off my furnace. I'm not even sure if that's a factor in this, but in case it is, I'm going to do my best to turn it off and we'll see. It'll take a couple seconds for it to register, but we'll see. So the booster wick, why it's a crackling booster is, as I showed you earlier, it has that additional thin strip of wood vertically down the center of the main wick. That extra layer provides more fuel to the flame, right? And that's going to generate a higher heat level, and it'll really help because soy wax is dense. It's a thick wax, so you do want a wick that's going to do its job, which is going to really process that wax for you, right? And then the added power is exactly why the extra large booster can successfully handle this size of a vessel. It's quite a large opening, 3.5. So I think this is going to be the right size without like making my wick drown or struggle. So something to also know about wood wicks, if you are not familiar with them, is that they require a clean char to stay lit. So what I mean by that is once you put out your candle and you go to light it again, you're going to see that the top of the wick has been charred black. So you want to grab like a tissue or something, a wick trimmer, and you want to trim off that burnt top layer so that you just have that lower piece of like not yet burned, not charred wood. Again, keeping your wick low. You don't want it long. And it's going to give you a beautiful light. But having said that, wood wicks are a little bit temperamental. I mean, same girlfriend, same. I almost blew out the flame with my hand. But they are a little bit temperamental, and sometimes wood wicks just don't perform the way you want them to, and c'est la vie. What are you going to do? I've had wood wicks that start off with these really big flames. Right now, I would say these are quite large, the flames. Not that you can really see. All you see is yellow. But right now, I can see from the top of the wick to the top of the flame, it's about that big, which is a pretty decent sized flame. I've had candles do this before, and then on the second or third light, they end up really, really small, the flames. And then the next time I light them, the flame is high. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I would assume it's because of all of the factors we've been talking about, where the fragrance oil is, where the color is, and how it's pulling it, and how each piece of the wood is actually performing. I mean, it is wood, but we're getting a really nice melt pool already. It's almost the size of a toonie, and the blue hearts are starting to bleed into the wax. But as you saw before we lit these, they're not yellow, even though the fragrance oil is dark. Remember I showed you that? However, it would be a little bit darker than your average soy candle. Okay, my furnace is off. My heater is off. I am going to shut up, and we're going to see if we can hear these crackle. And if not, I'm going to bring them closer to the camera so you can maybe pick it up on the microphone. Let's see. Can you hear them crackle? So cool. Well, I hope you can hear them crackle because it's a really cool sound. It gives you that fireplace vibe, which is awesome. Well, I really enjoyed making these sweetheart candles. I'm going to make sure my sweetheart gets to enjoy them with me. And I would love to know if you're going to be making some for your sweetheart, and what color heart are you going to make? Are you going to make a blue one too? Or Maybe you'll go traditional, go for red or pink. I'd love to know. Well, we managed to make 2 8-ounce candle tins with container soy wax, extra large wood wicks, and Dracar fragrance oil. We melted it from the beginning. We mixed our fragrance together. We made our hearts, and we ended up melting and adding the toppers and lighting the candles. We did everything together, start to finish. I'm so thrilled with the way these turned out. This fragrance oil is a stunner. Really enjoy the throw. So far, it's beautiful. And the wood is crackling nicely. So I'm very pleased with the way these turned out. I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments. And if you're interested in learning more about candle making, check out my channel. I have a ton of beginner-friendly projects. Lots in this live form style where I talk from start to finish and make you really question your decisions in life and why you're listening to me. And other ones that are shorter, like 10 to 15 minutes long, but they do have a voiceover and I do talk the whole way through. So really, who are we kidding? Anytime you're on my channel, you're going to hear me yap. I hope you enjoy it. I definitely enjoy spending time with you. I'm here every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, pouring another candle project. So please join me again. I'd love to see you. And if you're interested in learning some other stuff on my channel, I also do dot painting every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Thursday nights, we make wreaths at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So dot painting, wreaths, candles, it's all here. Anything you want to learn, I'll show you. It's going to be a blast. So stick with me. We're going to do some fun stuff. I can't wait to see what Easter's going to bring too. And I'd love to know what you think in the comments. And if you really enjoyed this today, consider hitting that like button. It really does help me out. Tell a friend. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!